we're in business. So, here we are. The first bit of news, actually, for 2023. And it's going to be World versus World of all things. I have to say, I didn't see that one coming. Some quality of life updates here and some pretty cool stuff, actually. Cornerstone game mode very much confirmed. So, let's take a look here. We actually have a layout of their team priorities here, which is pretty cool stuff. Address player population. Make World vs. World more rewarding to play, and refine and iterate on core World vs. World systems like scoring, siege, and upgrades. And actually, the focus here is basically going to be these two, at least for these quality of life updates. Now, these are not massive updates. They are relatively small, just little tweaks about the place. However, I do think they can actually make a big difference. So let's go ahead and kind of leap into this. First things first, weekly achievements. A set of weekly achievements that reward players for active and positive contribution to World vs. World. Capturing objectives, killing Dolyaks, defeating enemy players, etc. If you do all of that, you get 8 gold and up to 35 additional World vs. World skirmish claim tickets, which is an extra 10% over the max weekly tickets. And of course, these are going to be a lot more accessible. So for players who are newer to World vs. World, obviously the tickets you get are from basically grinding, right? From putting hours into the game, basically, and getting your pips. Obviously, for a new player, can be a bit of a grind. So this will actually be really nice for new players who'll be able to get tickets a little bit quicker, which is pretty good. And 8 gold is pretty decent, and it's 7 achievements as well here. So, and you can see how they say additional up to 35. That means that each tier is probably going to be 5 each, or they'll be like, you'll get 10 for doing 3 of them, then you'll get the rest when you do 6 or something like that, or whatever. Right, so it will actually be graded. So if you don't do all of it in one go, or manage to do all of it in 1 week, that's actually okay as well, which is pretty cool. Now, 8 gold might not seem like a lot, but actually, I think it's relatively significant, right? Like, that's really going to add up over time. It's kind of like adding an extra half a daily. Daily is 2 gold already. And bear in mind, this is just going to be on top of everything that you're already getting. Is it really enough to bring World vs. World to where it needs to be? Absolutely not. But bear in mind, this is only a piece of the puzzle, right? So this is going to be, we're going to give you some objectives and tasks to do in the game, and then they're obviously going to focus later on stuff like active participation. So maybe bonus pips for defending, bonus pips for taking a tier 3 objective, right? Bonus pips for getting a certain number of kills, all that sort of thing. That's almost certainly something they have in mind. So bear in mind, they're not just going to say, hey, we need to buff World vs. World. Let's give you like 50 gold a week for doing a bunch of objectives. Their goal is to add rewards in different areas, so it's not overly stacked into one thing. It's going to be building up the rewards rather than just piling it on in one place. And I think this is a pretty solid addition, actually. I think it's going to be pretty decent. Because bear in mind, going into World vs. World, blasting some dailies, that's already pretty efficient usage of your time. Getting those World vs. World potions, getting that 2 gold, just getting some objectives in there. I think this actually really incentivizes players to do this. To be frank, actually, there's some version of reality, actually, where I could almost see this being quite nice as part of a weekly routine, even for players who aren't World vs. World players, which, by the way, I suspect is part of their goal here. I think they want to try to nudge players who maybe haven't tried World vs. World to get in there, blast some dailies out, get that 2 gold there, get the 8 gold weekly, and work towards stuff like Gift of Battle, work towards the legendaries in World vs. World, and so on and so on. So that's, I suspect, their goal here as the first thing. So really nice little reward update there as well. Definitely will be more stuff coming, though, so don't worry. Don't worry. Don't panic, everyone. It's not over. There will be more. On the siege side of things, we're making flame rams and ballistae more durable. The duration on the flame rams' iron will skill are both being increased to help relieve pressure on assaulters, while the range on the ballista's reinforcing shot is being increased to improve its ability to destroy siege weapons on objectives. We'd like to see the warclaw used a bit more frequently in objective assaults, so we're doubling the damage that its chain pull inflicts on gates. I mean, I don't know, I'm not really a big fan of mounts, so I hope they don't continue to push in that direction. However, I do think this is good. So, a big problem with World vs. World right now is that going after objectives kind of inhibits your ability to fight, because you just get cock-blocked by defensive siege, you get blocked by very powerful defenses, right? And the defense advantage. And this means that, well, people don't actually go to attack objectives. They simply say, well, you know what? We're just going to smash into each other in the middle of a field instead of actually engaging with the objectives. So they're trying here to alleviate that and make it a lot more fun. So you can shoot stuff with your ballista to eliminate their defensive siege. It will take longer to burn down rams, right, with arrow carts or with AoE bombs and so on. And Iron Will now also help players bunker down, right, when they're on their siege or potentially receive a push as enemies actually surge out. So, yeah, personally, for the way that I enjoy World of the Sword, I do think this is a good change. Because I think making interacting with objectives more fun and less frustrating is a very good idea. And, to be honest, the bigger one here, actually, I would say, is this. This is a classic issue. You might not noticed this happening to you, but if you've played World vs. World, it definitely has. So, players can be kicked off siege weapons when hit by certain crowd control abilities, even if you have stability. So in other words, this is a classic strat, right? You would build catapults behind the gate and fire the catapult at your gate, right? The gate you're defending, and it will knock players off rams. If you have multiple of these, right, it essentially means rams become borderline untenable as you simply get perma-knocked. And this essentially stalls the fight to a ridiculous degree. It stalls the gate going down to a ludicrous stage, which obviously isn't good. Let's be honest, gamers. It's not really what you want, is it? In this type of situation. So I do actually really like the direction they're taking here, actually. Again, this is just really promoting aggressive play, taking objectives, trying to push forwards, and fighting over objectives, because ultimately that is part of the game right now that can be frustrating. So alleviating that, I think, is a very, very good idea. I think they'll have to be careful. They don't want to make it so the defender's advantage completely disappears. If they buff offensive siege too much and objectives become really hard to hold and really hard to stall, then that can be problematic. However, I'm not really sure if that's super relevant, actually, because I think the defender's advantage with gliding and the Warclaw is so insane that I think you could honestly go pretty hard on more offensive siege techniques, and it wouldn't be the end of the world, simply because of how powerful defending is currently with tactics, Warclaw, and gliding. Taking objectives, if your opponents are playing correctly and defending correctly, it's extraordinarily difficult to actually control objectives and take them away from people, so there it is. And more so, again, they're helping attackers here again, the base maximum supply limit for keeps and Stonema's Castle, as well as the supply limit increases granted from Tier 1 and Tier 3 upgrades are being reduced. Well, yeah, I mean, all upgrades, right? These changes are intended to cut down on the time that objective assaults spend chipping away an objective's supply reserves during a wall and gate siege without directly lowering the active defensive capabilities of the defending team. Yes, awesome. Very good idea. If you actually want... I remember this. When I played a lot of World vs. World, some sieges would literally take 4 hours. Seriously, and you might not even win. Like, literally 4 hours to get through, because if a defending team know what they're doing, and they've got a good amount of players, they're just going to keep on burning through their supply, they're going to keep fending you away, they're going to get those camps back, recapturing the camps, getting the yaks in, and it can take forever to clear everything out. You've got to hit it again, and again, and again, and again. And that sounds kind of epic, but it can also be, it can get a little bit old. So I think keeping things moving a little bit faster, I think is cool. Because I'm going to underline this a little bit. I know that players do like to have, you know, they find a nice flat piece of terrain and then fight each other, right? That's well and good. But actually, I do think that objectives actually lead to really exciting encounters. Because it means that you can have these crazy holds where it's like 20 people against 40 using defenses and using the terrain to try and beat them back. You can have these insane 1v2 or 1v2s, right, inside an objective with all three teams going crazy. Everyone remembers like the Stonema's Castle fights. These are some of the most epic things in the game, right? It's just that those encounters are held back a little bit by how powerful defensive siege is and how difficult it is to really drain and make it into a fun place to fight. There's some stuff with the terrain there, and honestly, gliding, I think, has really screwed up attacking in objectives because it can be quite hard to actually chase people if they're smart. They can just glide away from you and you can't follow them because you can't glide. But that being said, I do think that actually some of the coolest fights in the game do actually happen either in objectives or around objectives. So I think that this is a good direction to try and move world versus world in. Having the massive, like, massive charging into each other on a flat plane, that's fun, but I do actually like the objectives here as well. And their goal, and honestly, they do something pretty cool there too. Check this out. We've increased the health of all supply Doliaks to make them easier to defend, and we increased the amount of supply that each yak gives to Stomis Castle and keeps. And the base maximum supply level for camps have been increased, as well as the amount of supply that camps generates every 30 seconds, making them a more reliable supply source. I think this is really cool, because this puts a really big emphasis on map control rather than bunkering, which is, let's go. And honestly, if you're a roamer, theoretically, you should be happy. To be honest, will this actually change people's gameplay that much now? Probably not, because people don't care about winning. And yeah, I imagine someone's already typed a YouTube comment about this. Yes, realistically, a lot of these changes are preparation changes and test changes to see what happens and see if they actually make things better or more fun. Because yes, people's playstyle isn't going to change that much until ArenaNet give them a reason to change it. Either through rewards, right? So defending being rewarding, or capping stuff being more rewarding, or until there's some kind of leaderboard or some kind of winning. But this is the type of gameplay that I really enjoy. I think the territory control aspect of World vs. World is great. It's actually really, really fun. And this emphasizes that. And yes, this emphasizes that roamers are important. You're going to want to have roaming groups taking out Doliaks, making sure that camps are captured to not only resupply your objectives, but deny supply to your opponents. To me, that's kind of how World vs. World has always been meant to play out, and I think makes the game really exciting, actually. Instead of it being a bit of a bunker fest where people don't bother to really attack objectives because they're insurmountable, right? And it just takes too long to burn them down. And also, having secondary objectives, smaller objectives be emphasized, I think is really exciting and really can create a lot of potential for multiple playstyles, not just the larger combat-oriented groups, but also the roaming style, right, where you're, again, controlling the map, because that's what roaming is. Roaming is map control. Bear that in mind, gamers. That's what it is. That's what it does, is you are out there as a presence where the Zerg can't chase you. You're out there with 2 or 3 people. They can't dedicate the Zerg to get you, right? They're going to have to deploy roamers of their own. And this type of mechanical design, I think, can really facilitate some super interesting and exciting gameplay. So yeah, cool. All the changes listed above will be live in just a few days, and we have a few more in the hopper for the first part of this year. We're currently working on improving rewards for active participation, exactly as I expected, in fights over key objectives, making keeps, towers, Stomis Castle bigger player activity hotspots. Yeah, good. On the world restructuring and alliances front, we're still diligently working on bringing those features to life. As we mentioned last year, we're going to hold off on running additional betas until the alliances feature is ready for live testing. Oh, interesting. Yeah, okay. We're not ready to commit to a date for the first alliances beta yet, but you'll get a more comprehensive update on this from us in Q1. Hey, that's pretty soon, right? I mean, Q1 is well underway at this point. That's pretty cool. As I mentioned earlier in this post, we're planning to release iterative World vs. World changes more frequently this year, like the update coming next Tuesday. There's a lot of room for addressing low-hanging fruit in World vs. World systems. We need to be careful not to disrupt the game mode too much at once. And yeah, that's why they've gone for a very iterative approach. And that does imply that they're going to do more things like this. And this is what this communicates to me, by the way. These are small little tweaks. They're not massive sweeping changes. This means I think they can be quite agile with this stuff. I like this low-res screenshot, by the way. They can be quite agile, I think, with development like this. I think we can expect to see more little tweaks. Maybe they'd make it 12 gold, or maybe they make it 10 gold, right, instead of 8 gold a week. Right? Maybe they would play with other siege things and maybe make shield generators a little bit worse, or make them better. Make golems a little bit better, maybe. Right? Something like that. I could see them doing this and just doing a few little tweaks, which is actually very exciting, in my opinion. For the future of World vs. World, because again, this is not the main bulk. It's very clear their main development effort on World vs. World is still alliances. They're grinding away at it. They're trying to get a beta test, and honestly, that sounds like it could be pretty soon. We could be looking at some of the alliance beta tests, maybe towards summer. Early summer, right? Very, super late Q1 maybe, kind of going into the middle of Q2, I think is when we'd be looking at this, judging by what they're talking about here. But yeah, very cool. Very, very, very cool, in my opinion. I'm excited to see what they come up with next, actually, and of course, very much excited to see what they come up with in terms of alliances as well. And it seems that it might really be getting there now. I know it's been a meme for, what, 5 years or so, but it looks like it's actually happening for realsies this time, which is, I like it. Cool little update here, actually. And I think stuff like this, I know it seems small, but this can really add up. A few more patches like this, a few more iterative approaches to these rewards, to active participation to Siege, I think this can drastically change the game for the better, actually, and start to shift playstyles in preparation for alliances and get some new players into the game. Some fresh blood, make it more appealing to players of all different types from all different game modes. Hell yeah. Small update, but in my opinion, an extremely positive one, in fact. Very, very good. I give this a thumbs up rating. And before I kind of head off there for this little news video, I actually wanted to give you guys a bit of a bonus meme because this, you know, I've got to expose Dartbringer. Of course, Dartbringer, one of the ArenaNet devs. And this is the Reddit thread. This is the Reddit thread for the response to this post. And look, never mind the 8 gold per week, fuck off, wow, 35 more tickets, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I just want to point out this one here. Let's see, hang on a minute. I want to find the exact thing. Where is it? There's a particular post here that's really funny. Let me see if I can find it. I have managed to find the specific post. Here we go. Here we go. So, quick expose to one of our beloved developers, Dartbringer. Most of the ArenaNet tags I've seen only want to fight in boon blobs, or the very specific one on Mag, that's Dartbringer by the way, I saw last time we were linked with them that the AFKs while taking a camp every few minutes. They never seem to care about the towers or keeps, just running around like Mag and Ungabunga Hit Enemies. Oh, that's funny. That is very, very funny. You know, I like the fact that that people actually think that that Dartbringer, who doesn't work on World vs. World as far as I'm aware, is influencing this. That is good. Although I think, you know, I think Grouch is a bit partial to a bit of Zerging, but likes a bit of GVG too, and I think that's pretty cool as well. Roy, of course, big GVG fan. But no, you know, funny enough, I really do think they're trying to diversify playstyles here a little bit with the way they're talking about objectives, so I actually wouldn't be too concerned about that, but I do think it's really funny that Dartbringer is actually, like, really well known, right? People actually recognize him and see him about the place just grinding. That guy's a pumper, by the way. That guy grinds harder than most, like, Omega hardcore players. He's completely insane, and I like it. It is very, very good. You love to see it. You really, really do. But I thought that was just a bit of a funny meme there, guys. Funny meme, because yes, that's right, guys. Dartbringer does actually play on Maguma. Maybe ArenaNet made a mistake by mentioning Maguma in some of their World vs. World posts, right? I think, you know, that emboldened the mag swag to go even further. And now where we are, we have weekly posts about Maguma. There are, you know, 2 things we talk about every single week, guys. AFK farming and Maguma. And here is our weekly mag post. This time featuring Dartbringer. You love to see it. You love to see it. But yeah, that's it. That's the news. This is Armistice Bastion, and that's it. I'm out. Let me know what you think about the changes, of course, gamers, if you're in the YouTube comments. And like, follow, and subscribe. Yeah, go. Do it. And stay tuned for more. We've got more updates coming soon, actually, for Guild Wars 2. Next Friday, I believe we have a balance preview update, which is super cool. And the roadmap is going to be coming up over the next few weeks. They talked about this on Twitter, actually. Roadmap coming up over the next few weeks. So could be looking at kind of early to mid-February is the projected date. So definitely stay tuned for that. Should be super exciting. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you gamers next time. That's it. I'm out of here.